The vase shattered against the marble floor 3 feet from where Chloe stood, frozen with her cleaning rag clutched against her chest. She hadn't dropped it. Kim Taesik had swept it off the table in one violent motion, his eyes locked on her face with an intensity that made her knees weak. "Don't lie to me." His voice was silk over steel. "Who did that to your face?" Chloe's hand flew to the bandage on her cheekbone, instinctively trying to hide it. "Mr. Kim, I should go. I can come back tomorrow to finish." "Answer the question." He crossed the distance between them in 3 strides, each step deliberate. When he reached for her wrist, she flinched, and something dangerous flickered in his eyes. He caught her hand anyway, gentle despite the command in his voice, and pushed up her sleeve to reveal the finger-shaped bruises wrapped around her forearm. "Was it a man?" "It's none of your business." The words came out strangled. She tried to pull away, but his grip, while careful, was immovable. "It became my business the moment you walked into my home injured and lied about it." His thumb brushed the edge of a bruise, and she gasped. "A boyfriend? Husband?" "No, there's no one. I just—" "Then who?" The roar came from somewhere deep in his chest, raw and furious, and Chloe stumbled backward. He followed. "Tell me his name, Chloe." "Hey, honey hearts, welcome back. This is my 3rd story, and it's even deeper and more intense than before. If you love getting lost in real, heart-touching stories, go ahead and tap like share with someone special, and let's dive in together." How do you even know her name? In 6 months of cleaning his penthouse, he'd never once looked directly at her. She was furniture. She was air. And now he was staring at her like she was the only solid thing in the room. "Why do you care?" Her voice cracked. "You don't even see me. No one sees me." "I see you." He caught her chin, tilting her face toward the light. His touch was so careful it made her throat ache. "I see that you fixed the west window latch without being asked. I see that you serve my tea in the ceramic cup because the porcelain makes it go cold too fast. I see that you alphabetize my books by author, not title, because that's how I look for them." His voice dropped to something raw and honest. "I see everything about you. So tell me who hurt you before I lose what's left of my control." The confession hit her like a physical blow. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she blinked them back, some last shred of pride holding her together. "His name is Jay, my daughter's father. He came back 3 days ago demanding money, and when I said no, her voice broke. She couldn't finish. Taesik's face went very still, the kind of stillness that came before an explosion. "Did he threaten your child?" "He knows where she goes to school. He said it would be easy to—" She couldn't say it, couldn't make it real by speaking it aloud. He released her and pulled out his phone, typing rapidly in Korean. His jaw was clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. When he finished, he slid the phone back into his pocket and looked at her with eyes that had gone cold and flat. "It's handled." "What does that mean?" Panic clawed up her throat. "What did you do?" "It means he will never come near you or your daughter again. I don't want your help. I don't want protection from—" She caught herself before she said it, but the word hung between them anyway. "Criminal." Everyone knew the rumors about Kim Taesik, about where his money really came from before he went legitimate. "I have a daughter. If the police get involved, if social services thinks I'm connected to whatever you are, they could take her from me." The word hit him like a slap. His expression shifted, something like pain flickering across his features before the mask slammed back into place. "I would never let that happen." "You can't promise that." She was shaking now, adrenaline and terror and something else she couldn't name flooding her system. "You're Kim Taesik, and I clean toilets. This is insane." "Then let me be insane." He stepped close again, so close she could smell bergamot and something darker underneath. His hand came up to her face, fingers hovering beside the bandage without touching. "Let me be the wall between you and everyone who wants to hurt you. Let me show you what it feels like to matter." The air between them crackled with something electric and terrifying. Chloe's heart hammered against her ribs. She should run. She should grab Zola and disappear and never come back. But his eyes held her pinned, dark and intense, and burning with something that looked almost like desperation. "Why?" she whispered. "Because in 6 months of silence, you're the only real thing in my life." The elevator chimed. The spell shattered. A man in a dark suit stepped out, his face grim. Yongnim, We have a situation at the docks that requires. He stopped when he saw them standing so close. Taesik's hand still raised near Chloe's face. Get out. Taesik didn't look away from her. Sir, this is urgent. I said get out. The roar echoed off the marble and glass, feral and uncontrolled. The man bowed quickly and retreated into the elevator without another word. Silence crashed down. Taesik's shoulders dropped. He finally lowered his hand and stepped back, putting careful distance between them. Jay won't bother you again. I promise. No violence. Just a conversation about consequences. Chloe stared at him, her pulse still racing. Every instinct screamed danger. But underneath the fear was something else, something warm and terrifying. For the first time in years, someone powerful was on her side. Someone who saw her. My daughter's name is Zola, she heard herself say. She asked me this morning why I was crying. His expression softened. What did you tell her? I told her a scary man was being mean to Mommy. He took a careful breath. Then tell her the scary man is gone. And tell her that tomorrow night, if she and her mother would allow it, I'd like to take them both to dinner. To make her mother smile again. It was absurd. It was impossible. Kim Taesik was asking her, Chloe Adewale, who scrubbed his floors, on a date. The world had tilted sideways. Yes. The word came out before her brain could stop it. But not somewhere fancy. Somewhere normal. The smile that transformed his face was devastating. I'll find a most normal place in London. 24 hours later, Chloe stood in her tiny apartment bathroom, staring at her reflection and wondering if she'd lost her mind. The mirror was cracked in the corner, a reminder of the night Jay had thrown his beer bottle at the wall. She told Zola it was an accident. She told everyone everything was an accident. Mummy, are you pretty? Zola appeared in the doorway, already dressed in her favorite yellow dress, the one with the sunflowers that Chloe had found at a charity shop. I don't know, baby. Do I look okay? You look like a princess. Zola's gap-toothed smile was so pure it made Chloe's chest ache. She'd settled on her only nice jeans, the ones without stains, and a simple blue blouse she usually saved for parent-teacher conferences. It would have to be enough. Women like her didn't have wardrobes for dating billionaires. Women like her didn't date billionaires at all. The knock came at exactly 7. She jumped, her heart in her throat, and checked through the peephole. Not Taesik. An older man with kind eyes and silver hair stood in the hallway, wearing a driver's uniform. She opened the door a crack. Yes. Ms. Adewale, I'm Davies. Mr. Kim sent me to collect you and the young miss. His smile was genuine, reaching his eyes. Beautiful evening for it. The sleek black SUV waiting at the curb looked like it cost more than everything Chloe had ever owned combined. The leather seats were the color of cream, spotless and soft. Zola's eyes went huge as Davies helped them inside. Mummy, is this a spaceship? Close enough, baby. Chloe's hands shook in her lap. She folded them together, trying to hide the tremor. They drove through London as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Chloe expected Mayfair, expected some exclusive restaurant with a dress code she'd never meet. Instead, they pulled up in front of a crowded Korean barbecue joint in New Malden. Through the windows, she could see families laughing, could smell garlic and sizzling meat and life. Taesik was waiting by the entrance. He wore dark jeans and a gray sweater. No suit, no tie, nothing that screamed wealth or power. He looked almost normal. Almost. When he saw them, his entire face changed. The tension melted away, replaced by something soft and genuine. He crouched down immediately to Zola's level, his movements careful and deliberate. Zola, his voice was gentle. I'm Taesik. Your mother tells me you're very brave. Zola nodded solemnly, suddenly shy behind Chloe's leg. I am. I'm not scared of spiders. That's very impressive. I know grown men twice your size who are terrified of them. He said it with complete seriousness, as if discussing a business matter. Do you like Korean food? I don't know. I never had it. Then we're going on an adventure together. He stood and looked at Chloe, and the warmth in his eyes made her breath catch. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting us. The words felt inadequate, too formal for what was happening between them. Inside, the restaurant was loud and vibrant, filled with the clatter of dishes and the sizzle of meat on tabletop grills. The owner, a tiny Korean woman with sharp eyes, lit up when she saw Taesik. Ego, Taesik. She grabbed his face between her hands, speaking rapid Korean that Chloe couldn't follow. Then she switched to English, eyeing Chloe and Zola with open curiosity. You bring lady and baby? Finally, I tell your grandfather in heaven. Good news. Taesik's ears went red. Mrs. Kim, please. No, please. You sit. I bring best meat. Best everything. She bustled away before he could protest. They settled into a booth worn smooth by years of use. Taesik explained the menu with patience, pointing to pictures, describing flavors. When the meat came, he showed Zola how to use the scissors to cut it, how to wrap it in lettuce with rice and sauce. Like this, see? You make a little package. He demonstrated, his large hands surprisingly deft. Then you eat it in one bite. Zola tried, and the lettuce wrap immediately fell apart, rice scattering across her plate. She looked mortified. I broke it. That means you're doing it right. It takes practice. Taesik made his own wrap and deliberately let it fall apart too. See? Even I mess up. Chloe watched them, her heart doing something strange and painful in her chest. He was trying, not just with her, but with Zola. He was meeting them where they were, in this loud, imperfect place, making her daughter giggle with his exaggerated attempts at chopsticks. My grandfather used to bring me here every Sunday, he said, his eyes distant with memory. After my parents died, he raised me, taught me everything, how to negotiate, how to fight, how to survive. He paused, turning the chopsticks in his hand. But he also taught me that the best restaurants are the ones where people yell at you for not eating enough. What happened to him? Chloe asked softly. He died 5 years ago. Heart attack. 1 minute he was yelling at me for working too much. The next he was gone. His jaw tightened. I wasn't there. I was closing a deal in Tokyo. By the time I got back, it was too late. I am sorry. He left me everything. His company, his reputation, his wars. Taesik looked at her, something raw in his expression. And his advice. He told me once that the only thing that matters is what you build, not what you inherit. That legacy is about creation, not destruction. Is that why you're opening the hotel? That's why I'm trying to become someone worth knowing. The admission hung between them, vulnerable and honest. When Zola was distracted by the sweet, shaved ice dessert Mrs. Kim brought over, Taesik's focus shifted fully to Chloe. He leaned forward, his voice dropping low. How is your cheek? Really? Healing. She touched it reflexively. The bandage was gone, leaving only a faint yellow shadow. Jay hasn't come back. I don't know what you said to him, but I had June deliver a message. Explain that you were under new protection. That any further contact will be considered a hostile act. His eyes were hard. I also had my lawyers draw up a restraining order. It's being served tomorrow. If he comes within 100 meters of you, or Zola, he goes to jail. You did all that? In 1 day. I did it in 1 hour. He reached across the table, his fingertips brushing the back of her hand. The contact was light, almost hesitant, but it sent electricity racing up her arm. Chloe, I want to offer you something. A real job, not cleaning. She pulled her hand back slightly, her heart hammering. What do you mean? I'm launching a new line of boutique hotels. The first one opens in Shoreditch in 3 months. I want you to be the head of guest experience. The world tilted sideways. What? Taesik, I have no experience. I clean houses for a living. You have more experience than anyone I know. His eyes burned with conviction. You notice everything. The broken window latch. The preferred teacup. The way I organize my books. You see what makes people comfortable. You understand that luxury isn't about gold fixtures and marble floors. It's about being seen, being understood. That's what I'm building. A hotel where people feel like they matter. I don't have a degree. I don't have qualifications. You're the most qualified person I know, he interrupted. You have a PhD in resilience, in observation, in caring about the details that actually matter to people's lives. I've watched you for 6 months, Chloe. I've seen how you work, how you think. You're exactly what this hotel needs. It was insane. It was impossible. It was everything she'd never let herself dream about. I can't just. I have Zola. I can't afford childcare if I'm working full-time. I can't. The hotel will have childcare. On-site, fully staffed. Zola can come with you. There's a school 2 blocks away that's one of the best in London. I can arrange enrollment. He was speaking faster now, passionate, his usual control slipping. I'm not offering you charity, Chloe. I'm offering you a career, a future, a chance to build something real. Tears burned behind her eyes. She blinked them back furiously. Why are you doing this? Because I want you to stay. The words came out raw, stripped of pretense. Not because you have to. Not because you're afraid or desperate or dependent. But because you choose to. Because you see what we could build together and you want to be part of it. The restaurant noise faded to background static. All she could see was him, this complicated, dangerous, impossibly gentle man offering her the world. I need time to think, she managed. Take all the time you need. He sat back, giving her space. But let me show you the hotel Monday morning. No strings, no pressure. Just let me show you what you could create. The rest of the evening passed in a warm blur. Mrs. Kim brought out more food than they could possibly eat, scolding Taesik in Korean when he tried to pay, finally accepting with a string of what sounded like dire warnings. When they left, she hugged Chloe and whispered, "You good for him. Make him soft again." Taesik drove them home himself, the massive SUV feeling strangely intimate in the dark. Zola fell asleep in the back seat, her head lolling against the window. At Chloe's building, he came around to help her with Zola, lifting the sleeping child with surprising gentleness. "I can take her," Chloe said. "Let me." He carried Zola up 3 flights of stairs without complaint, waiting while Chloe fumbled with her keys. Inside her tiny apartment, he laid Zola on her bed with the care of someone handling something precious. At the door, Chloe expected a kiss, a demand, something. Instead, he simply took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her knuckles. "Monday, 9 a.m. Davies will pick you up." His voice was soft. "No strings, Chloe. I just want you to see it, to feel if it's right." Okay. He smiled, and it transformed his entire face. Then he was gone, his footsteps echoing in the stairwell. Chloe locked the door and leaned against it, her legs suddenly weak. Zola's sleepy voice drifted from a bedroom. "Mummy? I like him. He listens. I like him too, baby." The admission terrified her. She didn't sleep that night. She lay in her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every touch, every look. This wasn't how her life worked. Good things didn't happen to women like her. Men like Kim Taesik didn't notice cleaners. They didn't offer them careers. They didn't look at them like they hung the moon. But he had. And the most dangerous part was that she was starting to believe it might be real. Monday morning arrived cold and gray, typical London weather. Chloe dressed carefully, choosing her best clothes, checking her reflection obsessively. She looked like someone playing dress-up, but it would have to do. Davies was waiting at exactly 9, his smile warm. "Big day, Ms. Adewale. Mr. Kim is very excited to show you the property." "Is he already there?" "He's been there since 6. Couldn't sleep," he said. Davies pulled into traffic with practiced ease. "If you don't mind me saying, I've worked for Mr. Kim for 8 years. I've never seen him like this. Nervous, I mean." "He's nervous." "Terrified," Davies said cheerfully. "Keeps asking if the site is ready, if the contractors finish the lobby floor, if the lighting is right. I told him you'd see what you need to see. You've got the eye for it." They drove to Shoreditch, to a construction site surrounded by steel fencing. Through the gaps, Chloe could see a gleaming glass and steel structure reaching toward the gray sky. It looked expensive. It looked impossible. Taesik was waiting by the entrance, wearing a hard hat and holding 2 others. He looked tired, shadows under his eyes, but his face lit up when he saw her. "You came. You invited me." She took the hard hat he offered, settling it awkwardly on her head. "You look perfect." He said it like he meant it. "Ready." He led her through the construction chaos. Dust hung in the air, the smell of fresh concrete and sawdust everywhere. But Taesik didn't see the mess. He painted pictures with his words. This will be the lobby. Not cold, not formal. Warm woods and textured walls. Living plants, real ones, not plastic. A fireplace here, gas, but realistic for the winter months. Seating that invites people to stay, not just check in and leave. He gestured expansively. I wanted to feel like arrival, like coming home after a long journey. His passion was infectious. Chloe found herself seeing it too, the warm lobby taking shape in her mind. What about lighting? Natural light during the day. These windows, see? He pointed to floor-to-ceiling glass. But in the evening, warm lamps. Adjustable, because some people need brightness and some need softness. They moved through the space, and he showed her everything. The restaurant with its open kitchen, the gym with its wall of windows, the co-working space designed for laptop nomads. Every detail had been considered, every choice deliberate. The rooms, he said, leading her to the elevator, are where it really matters. This isn't about thread count or fancy toiletries. It's about how the space makes you feel. The elevator took them to the 5th floor. He led her to a nearly finished room and opened the door. It was beautiful. The bed was positioned to face the window, the city sprawling beyond. The lighting was warm, adjustable. There was a desk, a reading chair, blackout curtains. Tell me what you see, he said quietly. Chloe walked through the space, touching surfaces, checking details. The bathroom door opens out, not in. That's good. You don't feel trapped. The shower has a seat, so if someone is tired or hurt, they can sit. The mirror has lighting on both sides, so you don't cast shadows on your own face. She paused at the desk. But this chair is wrong. Wrong how? It's too stiff. If someone is working late, if they need to spend hours here, this will hurt their back. You need something with lumbar support, something that adjusts. Taesik pulled out his phone and made a note. What else? She continued, pointing out things she saw. The curtains didn't quite reach the floor, so light would leak in. The coffee maker was too complicated. The hangers in the closet were the cheap wire kind that tangled. Small things, details no one would consciously notice, but everyone would feel. He wrote everything down, never interrupting, never defending his choices. When she finished, he looked at her with something like awe. You're exactly what I need. I'm a cleaner who knows what doesn't work. You're a visionary who sees what people actually need. He took a step closer. This hotel, Chloe, it's my legacy, my way out of the shadows. But it's empty without the right perspective. Without your eyes. You barely know me. I know that you fixed my window latch because you noticed the breeze bothered me. I know you reorganized my books because you understood how I think. I know you sing when you clean, old hymns in a language I don't understand, and it makes the penthouse feel less lonely. His voice dropped. I know that in 6 months, you saw me when I was invisible to everyone else. You're not invisible. You're Kim Taesik. I'm a name, a reputation, a bank balance. No one sees past it. No one except you. He reached out, his fingers brushing her cheek where the bruise had been. You see people, Chloe. Really see them. That's not common. That's rare and precious and exactly what this hotel needs. His phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He ignored it. It buzzed again, more insistent, the sound harsh in the quiet room. With a frustrated curse, he pulled it out. His face, which had been so open, hardened as he read the screen. The transformation was instant and chilling. What's wrong? Dread coiled in Chloe's stomach. Nothing. But his knuckles were white around the phone. Taesik, what is it? An old business complication. He typed something rapidly, his jaw clenched. Nothing you need to worry about. Is it about the hotel? He looked at her, and she saw it then. The cold calculation. The ruthlessness he usually kept hidden. Someone is trying to block our permits. Claiming zoning violations. It's bullshit, but it's going to delay the opening. Can they do that? They can try. His smile was sharp and dangerous. They won't succeed. Another buzz. He read the message, and his expression darkened further. I need to handle this. Davies will take you home. We'll talk later this week about your role. The spell was broken. The dream of the sunny hotel receded, replaced by the reality of who he was and the world he moved in. Taesik, I'm sorry. I have to go. He was already moving toward the door, his phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean in a tone that made her shiver. The ride home was silent. Davies tried to make conversation, but Chloe couldn't focus. All she could see was that look on Taesik's face. Cold. Hard. The man from the rumors, from the whispers, from the life he claimed to be leaving behind. That evening, her phone lit up with a notification. A news alert from a business blog. Kim Corp faces hostile takeover. Whispers of shareholder revolt and shadow from Taesik Kim's past threaten new hotel venture. Her blood ran cold. She clicked the link. The article was vicious, carefully worded to avoid libel, but damning nonetheless. It mentioned his father's connections to organized crime, his own aggressive tactics in business, questions about where his startup capital had really come from. The hotel was mentioned as a desperate attempt at legitimization. This was his world. This was the reality behind the gentle touches and passionate dreams. And she was standing right in the middle of it. Her phone buzzed. Him, Chloe. His voice was stripped of control, raw and vibrating with tension. I know you saw the article. Is it true? Some of it. He didn't lie. And she respected that even as it terrified her. My father was connected. I inherited those connections. I used them to survive, to build. But I'm trying to be different. The hotel is my way out. Who's attacking you? Adewale. Someone who thinks he can take what's mine by destroying my reputation. A harsh laugh. He's using the truth as a weapon. What are you going to do? Silence. Then what I have to. That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you right now. His voice softened. I am sorry. I'm sorry you're seeing this. I wanted to show you something beautiful, and instead you're seeing the ugly reality. I knew there was ugly reality. I'm not naive. No, you're not. You're the strongest person I know. He paused. This is going to get worse before it gets better. He's going to come at me from every angle. The hotel, the permits, my reputation. He'll dig up everything he can find and weaponize it. Why are you telling me this? Because you're in it now. The words were heavy with regret. Because you stood in that empty room and saw a future, and I need you to know that there are people who want to burn it down. And they won't care who gets hurt in the process. The line went quiet, but he didn't hang up. She could hear him breathing. Are you okay? She asked. No. The honesty surprised her. I'm not okay. I'm angry, and I'm scared, and I hate that you're involved in this. I chose to be involved. You chose to have dinner with me. You didn't choose corporate warfare. Maybe I did. She surprised herself with the words. Maybe I knew what I was getting into. You couldn't have known. I knew enough. I knew you were dangerous. I knew you had enemies. I still said yes. She took a breath. I'm not running. Taesik. The silence stretched out. When he spoke again, his voice was thick. You should, but I'm not. Why? Because you saw me first. The truth of it hit her as she said it. You saw me when I was invisible, and I'm not walking away from that. He exhaled shakily. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. A sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. I'll call you tomorrow. Lock your doors tonight. Why? Just please. Lock your doors. The line went dead. Chloe sat in her dark apartment, Zola asleep down the hall, and felt the weight of what she'd just agreed to. She wasn't running. She was staying. And that meant she was about to walk into a war she didn't understand, with a man who could protect her or destroy her with equal ease. The next 2 days passed in tense silence. No car, no calls, just the oppressive quiet of waiting. Chloe cleaned her regular houses, going through the motions while her mind churned. She kept checking her phone, expecting something, a warning, an update, anything. The attack came on Wednesday afternoon. She was at a client's house, scrubbing a bathtub, when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her look. It was a video file, grainy security camera footage from what looked like an alley. The timestamp was from 5 years ago. The video showed a younger Taesik, his face harder, his clothes different, standing over a man on his knees. No sound, but the threat was visceral. Taesik was holding something. She couldn't see what, and the man was cowering, his hands raised in supplication. The caption beneath the video read, "Is this the man you trust with your future?" Chloe's hand shook so badly, she nearly dropped the phone. This was him. This was the truth behind the tailored suits and the gentle touches. This was the man who had handled Jay. Before the panic could fully consume her, her phone rang. Different number. She answered without thinking. Ms. Adewale, a smooth, cultured male voice. My name is David Cho. I'm an associate of Mr. Park Jin-soo. a major stakeholder in Kim Corporation. I don't know who that is. Of course not. Why would you? The voice was pleasant, almost friendly. I'm calling because we're concerned about Mr. Kim's recent decisions. His judgment seems compromised. Hiring a housekeeper with no credentials for a senior management position, for instance. Ice flooded her veins. How do you know about that? We make it our business to know. We're concerned that Mr. Kim is making emotional rather than rational decisions. Decisions that could impact the company's reputation. A pause. We also understand you have a daughter. Zola, is it? Lovely name. Don't you dare. Children need stability, Ms. Adewale. They need mothers who aren't entangled in corporate wars. Mothers who aren't associated with men of violent reputation. His tone remained pleasant, conversational. It would be unfortunate if social services received an anonymous call expressing concern for her welfare. Questions about her environment. About the people you're exposing her to. The world tilted. You wouldn't. We would prefer not to. We prefer you simply step away. Decline Mr. Kim's generous but inappropriate job offer. Return to your regular life. Stay away from him and his failing ventures. And if I don't, then we'll do what's necessary to protect our investment. And sadly, your daughter may become collateral damage in that process. The line went dead. Chloe slid down the bathroom wall, her breathing shallow. They knew Zola's name. They knew where she went to school. This wasn't about business anymore. This was a direct threat to her child. Her first instinct was to run. Pack a bag, grab Zola from school, get on a bus to anywhere else. Go back to being invisible. It was the safe choice, the smart choice. But as she sat there on the cold tile floor, something hardened in her chest. Running made her a victim. Running made her powerless. She'd spent her whole life running. From Jay, from poverty, from her own dreams. And where had it gotten her? Scrubbing other people's toilets, hiding bruises, teaching her daughter to be small and quiet and invisible. No more. She pulled out her phone and typed with shaking hands. They threatened Zola. A man named David Cho mentioned social services. The response was immediate. Not a text. A call. Where are you? Taesik's voice was different. Not the passionate businessman or the gentle suitor. This was the voice from the video. Cold. Hard. Absolute. At a client's house in Kensington. What's the address? She told him. Stay there. Lock the doors. I am Sendin Jun. He'll be there in 10 minutes. Do not open the door for anyone else. What are you going to do? Why should have done the moment I saw that bandage on your face? The words were a deadly promise. I'm going to end this. Permanently. And then I'm coming for you. Taesik, don't do anything that will. Trust me. He cut her off. For once, just trust me. The line went dead. Chloe sat in the bathroom of a stranger's house, her heart hammering, and waited. 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. Every car that passed outside made her jump. When the doorbell finally rang, she crept to the window and looked out. June stood on the doorstep, his face impassive, his hands visible and empty. She opened the door. Mr. June, Ms. Adewale. He bowed slightly. I'm here to ensure your safety until the Yongnim resolves the current situation. If you have other appointments today, they should be canceled. I need to pick up my daughter from school. I will accompany you. What time? 3:30. Then we have 2 hours. I suggest we go to your home. It's more secure than remaining here. Chloe gathered her cleaning supplies with numb fingers. The client wouldn't be happy about the unfinished bathroom, but she couldn't bring herself to care. June escorted her to a dark sedan, checking the street before opening her door. The drive to her apartment was silent. Inside her small flat, June moved through each room with quiet efficiency, checking windows, testing locks. He paused at Zola's bedroom, taking in the cheerful drawings taped to the walls, the worn stuffed animals on the bed. The Yongnim spoke of her, he said quietly. He said she was brave. She is. Braver than me. I doubt that, Ms. Adewale. June positioned himself by the window with a clear view of the street. What you're doing, standing your ground against men like David Cho, that requires exceptional courage or exceptional stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing. A hint of a smile crossed his face. The Yongnim has been waiting a long time for someone like you. What do you mean? Someone who sees him, not his money, not his power, Not his past. Just him. June's expression remained neutral. He's been alone for a very long time. Since his grandfather died, he's had no one he could trust completely. No one who wanted nothing from him. I want the job he offered. You want the opportunity to build something. That's different from wanting his money or influence. June checked his phone. The Yongnim is handling Mr. Cho now. It won't be pleasant. What's he doing? Better you don't know the specifics. But I can tell you he's reminding certain people why they chose to fear him in the first place. An hour crawled by. Chloe made tea she didn't drink, paced her tiny living room, checked her phone obsessively. At 3 o'clock, June stood. Time to collect Miss Zola. The school was only 4 blocks away, but June insisted on driving. He parked across the street with a clear view of the entrance and waited with her. Other parents clustered in groups, chatting about weekend plans and after-school activities. Chloe stood apart, as she always did, invisible even in a crowd. When the doors opened and children poured out, Zola spotted her immediately. Her face lit up and she ran over, her backpack bouncing. "Mummy, we learned about butterflies today, and Miss Chun said I drew the best." She stopped, seeing June. "Who's that?" "This is Mr. June. He's a friend of Mr. Taesik's. He's going to stay with us for a little while." "Is something wrong?" Zola's face showed worry beyond her years. She'd learned too young to read her mother's moods, to sense danger. "Everything's fine, baby. Mr. Taesik just wants to make sure we're safe." Back at the apartment, Zola did her homework at the kitchen table while June maintained his vigil by the window. Chloe tried to focus on making dinner, but her hands shook too much to chop vegetables properly. Her phone finally buzzed at 6:30. A news alert. Breaking. David Cho resigns from Kim Court Board. Cites personal reasons and withdraws all opposition to Shortage Hotel venture. Then a text from Taesik. The threat is neutralized. He won't speak your name again. I'm coming to you now. Chloe stared at the messages. Neutralized. Cold. Efficient. Terrifying. What had he done? What had he said? The video played in her mind. The young Taesik standing over that cowering man. "Ms. Adewale?" June's voice pulled her back. "The Yongnam will be here shortly. He wanted me to assure you that Mr. Cho is unharmed." Frightened, but unharmed. "How did you know what I was thinking?" "Because it's what anyone would think." June's expression softened slightly. "The Yongnim is many things, but he's not a monster. He simply made Mr. Cho understand the cost of touching what he values." 40 minutes later, the knock came. Softer than before. Chloe opened the door to find Taesik standing there looking utterly exhausted. His clothes were rumpled, his tie loosened, shadows deep under his eyes. Not a titan, not a warrior, just a man who looked like he'd been to hell and back. He didn't move to enter. He just looked at her, his gaze searching her face as if checking for damage. "It's over," he said, his voice rough. "Cho is broken. His allies have scattered. The hotel is safe. The permits will be approved." He swallowed hard. "You're safe." Chloe stared at him, this man who had just torn apart his enemies for her. "Ow!" I showed him the cost. Taesik's jaw tightened. "I had my lawyers pull every shady deal he's been involved in for the past decade. Tax evasion, insider trading, bribes." Then I explained that if he or anyone connected to him so much as looked in your direction again, all of it goes to the authorities and the press. He'll lose everything. His position, his reputation, possibly his freedom. That's all? Just threats. I also had him watched. Constantly. For the past 3 days, everywhere he went, someone was there. Taking pictures. Taking notes. I wanted him to feel what it's like to be hunted. His eyes were hard. I told him that you and Zola were under my protection. That touching you would be the last mistake he ever made. And I meant every word. He stepped forward into her space, and she could smell night air and bergamot and something darker. I'm what I am, Chloe. I have darkness in me. I can build beautiful hotels with one hand and destroy men with the other. I can't change that. I can only ask if you can bear it. Chloe looked at him, at the man who saw her, who fought for her, who terrified her, and made her feel safer than anyone ever had. The fear was there, a cold presence in her chest, but it was overshadowed by something stronger. She reached up and covered his hand with hers, pressing it against her cheek. I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to let me stand in the light with you, so the darkness doesn't have to be so deep. A shuddering breath escaped him. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she felt his heartbeat against hers, his face buried in her hair. Then stand with me, he murmured against her skin. Marry me, Chloe. Let me spend my life making sure you're never invisible again. It wasn't a question of if, but when. And in that moment, with his arms around her and his heart hammering against hers, the answer was the easiest thing in the world. Yes. From behind them, a small voice said, "Does this mean Mr. Taesik is staying?" They broke apart. Zola stood in the hallway, clutching her teddy bear, her eyes huge. Taesik immediately crouched down to her level. "Yes, Zola," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "If it's okay with you, I'm staying. For always." Zola considered this with the seriousness of a child making an important decision. Then she walked forward and took his large hand in her small one. "Okay, but you have to read me bedtime stories. Mummy does funny voices. I'll do my best." He looked up at Chloe, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "I promise to do my best at everything." That night, after Taesik read Zola a story with surprisingly good character voices, after June quietly left with a respectful bow, Chloe and Taesik sat on her worn couch in the dim light. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we build." He pulled her close, his arm around her shoulders. "The hotel opens in 3 months. We get married. We create something beautiful together. It won't be easy. Your enemies will always be there," he finished. "That's the cost of my past. But it's a cost I'm willing to pay if it means having you." He turned to face her fully. "I won't lie to you, Chloe. There will be more fights, more battles. But I promise you this. I will never let them touch you or Zola. Never. I believe you." And she did. He kissed her then, soft and reverent, like she was something precious. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "I love you. I should have said that first, but I love you. I love you too." The words felt right, felt true, even though you're completely insane. Especially because I'm insane. His smile was warm against her skin. They sat in the quiet of her small apartment, making plans, dreaming dreams. Outside, London continued its endless motion, but inside, everything had changed. The invisible woman and the dangerous man had found each other in the chaos, and somehow, impossibly, they'd created something real. The next 3 months were a whirlwind. Chloe quit her cleaning jobs and threw herself into the hotel project. Taesik was right. She did have an eye for what mattered. She redesigned the guest rooms, adjusting everything from pillow firmness to outlet placement. She hired staff based not on resumes, but on whether they could make a stressed traveler feel seen. She created training programs focused on empathy and observation. The Adewale Hotel, Taesik insisted on the name despite her protests, began to take shape. It wasn't just another luxury hotel. It was a place where people mattered, where the staff remembered your name and your coffee order, where the rooms felt like sanctuary. But the path wasn't smooth. There were more attacks. Whisper campaigns about Chloe's lack of qualifications. Anonymous complaints to licensing boards. Online rumors about Taesik's past. Each attack was swiftly handled, but the constant vigilance wore on them both. The worst moment came 2 weeks before the hotel's opening. Chloe was at the site, doing a final walkthrough when she received a letter. Hand-delivered, expensive stationery, ominous in its formality. It was from a law firm representing the Kim family estate. Taesik's uncle, a man named Kim Sang-woo, was filing a lawsuit challenging the legitimacy of their engagement and requesting custody evaluation for Zola. Chloe's hands shook as she read the allegations. Unstable environment, questionable moral character, exposure to criminal elements. They were claiming that Taesik's past and their sudden, opportunistic relationship made them unfit to raise a child. "This is absurd." Chloe stormed into Taesik's temporary office at the hotel, slamming the letter on his desk. "They've never even met Zola. They didn't come to our engagement party." Taesik's face went very still as he read. When he looked up, his eyes were cold. "This isn't about Zola. It's about control. My uncle never accepted that I inherited the company instead of him. He's been waiting for an opportunity to strike back. But why now? Why go after Zola? Because he knows she's what I value most. He's attacking where I'm weakest. Taesik stood, pacing like a caged animal. He's claiming that I'm corrupting you, that our relationship is predatory, that I'm using you as a front for money laundering or some other bullshit. Can he really get custody? He can try. He'll fail, but he can make the process hell for us. His jaw clenched. I won't let him near her, Chloe. I promise you that. The legal battle was brutal. Court appearances, depositions, investigators poking through every corner of their lives. The tabloids had a field day. From Maid T.O. Mistress, one headline screamed. Kim Ayers custody battle reveals shady past. The worst blow came when Jay resurfaced. Taesik's uncle had found him, paid him handsomely, and put him in front of cameras. Jay gave tearful interviews about how Chloe was an unfit mother who had abandoned her daughter's real father to chase wealth. Chloe watched the interview in their penthouse, Taesik beside her. Seeing Jay's face again made her stomach turn. He looked different, cleaner, sober, coached. He spoke about how much he'd loved Zola, how he'd wanted to be part of her life, how Chloe had kept them apart. All lies, but loud, public lies. I'm going to kill him, Taesik said quietly. You're not. Chloe grabbed his hand. That's what they want. They want you to prove their point about violence and instability. Then what do? We tell the truth. She turned to face him. All of it. Your past. My past. How we met. Everything. We stop hiding and we show them who we really are. Taesik stared at her. That could destroy everything. The hotel. My reputation. Your job. Or it could save us. She squeezed his hand. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of letting other people control the narrative. Let's take control back. The press conference was Taesik's lawyer's worst nightmare. But they did it anyway. In the lobby of the Adewale Hotel, surrounded by the staff they'd hired in the space they'd built together, Taesik and Chloe told their story. Taesik spoke first, his voice steady. I inherited my father's company and his connections. I used those connections to survive in a world that wanted to eat me alive. I made decisions I'm not proud of. I hurt people. I operated in gray areas that were closer to black. He paused, his hand finding Chloe's. But 5 years ago, my grandfather died and told me that legacy isn't what you inherit, it's what you build. So I started building legitimate businesses, clean deals, this hotel, and then I met Chloe. Chloe took over, her voice clear despite her nerves. I cleaned Mr. Kim's penthouse for 6 months. He never spoke to me. I was invisible. Then one day, I came to work with a bruise on my face from my ex-partner, and Mr. Kim saw it. He saw me, not because I was beautiful or special, but because he pays attention to details. He noticed something was wrong, and he cared enough to do something about it. She told him about Jay, about the threats, about how Taesik had protected her and Zola without violence, just legal action and clear boundaries. She talked about the job offer, about how it wasn't charity, but recognition of skills she didn't know she had. People are saying I'm a gold digger, she continued, that I'm using Mr. Kim for his money and status. But the truth is simpler and more complicated than that. I fell in love with a man who sees people, who built this hotel not just to make money, but to create spaces where people feel valued, where they feel seen. Taesik spoke again. My uncle is claiming we're unfit to raise Zola. He's using my past as evidence. He's painting Chloe as opportunistic and me as dangerous. What he's really doing is trying to hurt me by threatening the family I've chosen. But I won't be intimidated. Chloe and I are building something real, a business, a marriage, a family. We're not perfect. We're not scandal-free. But we're honest, and we're committed to each other and to Zola. He looked directly at the cameras. To my uncle, you wanted a war. I'm offering peace. Stand down, and we'll welcome you as family. Continue, and you'll face not the man I was, but the man I've become. The man Chloe has helped me become. And I promise you, that man is far more formidable than the boy you remember. They didn't take questions. They simply stood together, hands clasped, and let the cameras capture them. Imperfect, human, real. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Social media exploded with support. Hashtag Team Chloe and hashtag the Adewale trended for days. People connected with the honesty, with the vulnerability. The tide of public opinion shifted dramatically. 3 days later, Kim Sang-woo's lawyer filed a motion to withdraw all claims. The custody case was dropped. The uncle, exposed as vindictive and opportunistic, was socially and professionally ostracized. The hotel opened to rave reviews. Critics praised not just the design, but the philosophy behind it. The Adewale isn't just a hotel, one reviewer wrote. It's a statement about what luxury should be, not opulence, but empathy. The wedding came 2 months later. Not grand, but perfect. They married in the hotel's rooftop garden on a warm summer evening. Chloe's mother flew in from Nigeria, resplendent in traditional dress and full of opinions about everything. Taesik's few remaining family members came, including an uncle who was not Sang-woo, this one kind and genuinely happy for them. Mrs. Kim from the restaurant cried through the entire ceremony and then scolded Taesik in Korean for waiting so long. Jun stood as best man, his usual stoicism cracking when he gave his toast about watching the Yeongnim finally find happiness. Zola was the flower girl, taking her job with extreme seriousness. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, she raised her hand. "I object," she announced loudly. The crowd gasped. Taesik and Chloe froze. "To what, sweetheart?" the officiant asked gently. "To waiting any longer. Can they kiss now, please?" Laughter rippled through the guests. The officiant, grinning, said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Taesik pulled Chloe close, his eyes shining. "Mrs. Kim," he murmured. "Mr. Adewale Kim," she corrected with a smile. "Even better." And he kissed her as the sun set over London, painting the sky in gold and rose. The first year of marriage brought its own challenges. Running a successful hotel was harder than either of them expected. There were staff issues, guest complaints, supply chain problems. Taesik's past occasionally surfaced in the form of old associates wanting favors or new rivals testing his resolve. But they faced it together. When Chloe was overwhelmed, Taesik reminded her of her strengths. When Taesik slipped into old patterns of cold ruthlessness, Chloe pulled him back to the light. They built something neither could have built alone. Zola thrived. She attended the prestigious school near the hotel, making friends, excelling at art. She called Taesik Appa within 3 months, and it still made his eyes suspiciously bright every time. One evening, a year after the wedding, Taesik found Chloe on their penthouse balcony. The same balcony where she'd once cleaned windows as an invisible ghost. Now she stood there in a silk robe, her hair loose, a glass of wine in her hand, looking out at the city that had once seemed so indifferent to her existence. He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, pulling her back against his chest. "What are you thinking about?" She leaned into him, her body fitting perfectly against his. "The first day I cleaned this place, I was so scared of leaving a fingerprint, of disturbing anything. I tried so hard to be invisible. And now..." She turned in his arms, her face tilted up to his, a smile playing at her lips. "Now I'm the loudest thing in the room. Now I matter. You always mattered." "No." She touched his face, her fingers gentle on his jaw. "I existed. There's a difference. You taught me the difference." He caught her hand, kissing her palm, her wrist, the place where bruises used to bloom. "You taught me something too." "What's that?" "That power isn't about how many people fear you. It's about how many people you protect, how many people you see and value and lift up." His voice went rough with emotion. "You made me better, Chloe. You made me want to be better. We made each other better." "Yeah." He smiled against her skin. "We did." From inside the penthouse, they could hear Zola singing off-key while doing her homework, music playing, life happening. The silence Taesik had once used to fill the emptiness was gone, replaced by noise and chaos and love. "I want another baby," Chloe said suddenly. Taesik pulled back to look at her. Yeah. I want Zola to have a sibling. I want us to create something together. Someone who's half you and half me and all ours." His eyes went suspiciously bright. I want that too. God, I want that so much. Then let's do it. Let's build our family. He kissed her then, deep and passionate, a promise and a celebration. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. You know what's crazy? He murmured. What? A year ago, I was just a lonely man in an empty penthouse. Now I have everything. A wife, a daughter, a family, a legitimate business I'm proud of. All because I noticed a bandage on the face of the woman who cleaned my floors. All because you saw me. All because you let me see you, he corrected. All because you were brave enough to trust me despite every reason not to. She smiled, that radiant smile that still had the power to undo him completely. Best decision I ever made. Second best, he countered. What was the first? Saying yes to dinner at a Korean restaurant in New Malden. He laughed, the sound rich and genuine. That was pretty good too. They stood on the balcony as night fell over London, the city lights beginning to twinkle like earthbound stars. Below them, the world continued its endless motion. People rushing home, people going out, people living their invisible lives. But up here, in this space they created together, Chloe and Taesik were anything but invisible. They were seen, they were known, they were loved, and that made all the difference. Thank you, sweethearts, for staying with me till the end of my third story. I'd love to hear where you're watching from and which part touched you most. So drop a comment below. And if you enjoyed it, like, share, and comment to help more hearts find these stories.